Module 6, Multiple Equation Models. Forecasting demand or cost of inputs is quite complex. However, it is one of the primordial concerns of the managers because the firm's shareholders would depend on precise forecasting of components of the expected future cash flows. Although the household is considered the consuming unit, it would be illogical to consume every peso of income generated in goods and services. A part of it is saved in some financial institutions. The same scenario is valid with other sectors in the economy and savings, which is considered as leakage from the circular flow. Sometimes it refers to an outflow with both sectors that make expenditures and investments. In the circular flow of income and expenditure model, an outflow of leakage explained that portion of the income outflows from the circular flow and influence towards the slow movement of the income generation process, including the savings, taxes, and importations. On the other side, inflows permit the flow of revenues or income to grow, including investment, government spending, and the value of export goods and services sold or traded to other economies. Economists applied mathematical notations to depict the movement of injections and leakages in the circular flow and the national income. If we speak of the activity of the household sector, it generally consumes and saves its income. Hence, the equation is Y, which stands for income, is equal to C, which stands for consumption, plus S, which stands for savings. Personal and household consumption is one of the determinants of national or factor income. If income is assumed as only equal to consumption, the inflows that generate the former constitutes borrowing from the national economy stocks for savings. The business sector sends its revenues to purchase productive inputs and labor uses its stock of wealth investments. So, the equation is Y mine equals C plus investments. Investment expenditures is capital spending mainly derived not from current income and consumption, but accrued savings and other sources from peripheral to the circular flow. The investment raises the economy's wealth and expenditures, which produce income as inflows to the system. So the expenditures made by the business sector are equivalent to the income received by the household sector. Thereby, the national income is dependent on the extent of households' consumption expenditure, the amount of business sector's investments. The government sector also spends its money stock on purchasing or availing goods and services. Such type of spending is considered as an inflow to the economy stream. The equation is now Y is equal to C plus I plus G. So to complete the circular flow model, the value of the goods imported from other countries is leakage or outflows, while the value of goods exported to other countries is obviously an inflow. Hence, the equation is Y is equal to C plus I plus G plus net exports or exports minus import. Moreover, there are many ways of measuring the economy's overall performance: the gross national product or GNP and the gross domestic product or GDP. The difference between the two measures lies in the difference in the coverage of the accounting of the value of production of the foreign resources in a country and by the citizens from other countries. There are many instances wherein the value of the final goods and services is like the portion of the gross domestic product but not covered in the gross national product or the other way around. Gross national product refers to the market value for all final products produced using the economy's resources during a particular period, usually 1 year. This definition of GNP does not include the products not produced by the country's economic resources, for example, imported commodities. Also, it only includes the value of final products, and the third limitation of the GNP accounting is time. And the definition eliminates the value of commodities that had been accounting for in the past period. GNP reflects the value of the country's production since it also includes the values products from the lower stages of production. Moreover, gross domestic product or GDP is the aggregate value for goods and services produced within the economies or within the juridical territory of the country during a specific period like annually. It includes all the private and public usage of goods and services, government expenditures, investment, and net exports. Hence, it excludes the factor income earned by the economic resources of a country in the other country. Multiple equation models may include only a few equations or hundreds of them. To show how multiple equation models are used in forecasting, we start with a very simple equation as presented in equation 5-21, 5-22, and 5-23 of the national economy that can be used to forecast GNP. Here are the following equations. CT is equal to A1 plus B1 times GNP T plus U1 T. Moreover, IT is equal to A2 plus B2 pi T minus 1 plus U2T. To compute GNP, the equation is C1 plus I plus GT. To compute GDP, it's equal to C plus I plus G. And income is equal to GDP minus T. Whereas, C stands for consumption expenditures, GNP stands for gross national product in year T, GDP gross domestic product, T taxes, I investments, Pi for profits, G national expenditures or government expenditures, U stochastic disturbances or random error term, T current year, T plus 1 that is from previous year. Equations 5-21, 5-22, and 5-23 are behavioral equations, whereas equations 5-24 and 5-25 are identities or definitional equations. Once the parameters of a system of equations have been estimated, measures of future values may be obtained by substituting the known or determined values for the independent variables into the system and calculating for the forecasts. Equations 5-21 postulates that consumption expenditures in year T are linear function of GNP in the same year. And equations 5-22 postulates that investment in year T is a linear function of profits in the previous year, that is T. Finally, equation 5-23 defines GNP in year T as the sum of consumption expenditures, investments, and government expenditures in the same year. Variables CT, IT, and GNPT, the left-hand variables or variables to the left of the equation sign. Equations 5-21, 5-22, and 5-23 are called endogenous variables. These are variables that the model seeks to explain or predict from the solution of the model. Exogenous variables, on the other hand, are those determined outside the model. In the above model, and GT are the exogenous variables. Since the endogenous variables of the system, that is CT, IT, and GNPT, are both determined by and in turn determine the value of the other endogenous variables in the model. Hence, we cannot use the ordinary least square technique or OLS to estimate the parameters of the structural equations, that is A's and B's in equations 5-21 and 5-22. By assuming that these coefficients are correctly estimated by the appropriate estimating technique, we can show how the above simple macro model can be used for forecasting the values for endogenous variables. To do this, we substitute equations 5-21 and 5-22 into equation 5-23 and solve. This will give an equation for GNPT that is expressed only in terms of NGT. By then, substituting the values of which is known in year t plus 1 and then predicted or forecasted value of gt plus 1 into the solved equation, we get a forecast for GNP t plus 1. That is, substituting equation 5-21 into equation 5-23, we get GNP is equal to A1 plus B1 GNPT plus IT plus GT. By then, substituting equation 5-22 into 5-24, we get GNP is equal to A1 plus B1 GNPT plus A2 plus B2 GT. Collecting the GNPT terms to the left in equation 5-25 and isolating GNPT, we have GNP1 times 1 minus B1, which is equal to A1 plus A2 plus B2T minus 1 plus GT.